So check it out. I'm super excited today to share with you my boy Diante
Yes.
Lawrence at EXP Realty. He's got a story you're going to want to hear. So I don't know if you saw in that cut. That's really me hitting that dunk in there, right? I know a lot of people think that's some guy from the Orlando Magic, but that was really me.
No, not even close.
No, I not maybe on a small rim I can't. So Deontay, man, I'm actually super excited to talk to you about your book and you're having your best year ever. So let's just start. I mean, how long have you been in real estate as a licensed agent?
we're on year three right now. So as of March 2022, it'll be 3 years
3 years.
as a realtor. Yeah.
Good stuff. You're having your best year this year.
Yes. Every year has gotten better and better and better.
Well, a lot of agents can't say that, right? So
Right.
tell me, break it down, and especially for the point of view, so somebody can kind of catch it. What are you doing differently this third year that's helping you to be a more successful agent?
Well, diving into Deontay being more of me, and I
Mm,
know it kind of sounds generic, but um, by me diving more into me, I've been able to attract more of the people that I want to do business with. So, all the way down to my language. I speak with slang at the end of the day, not being so cookie cutter and just not toning myself down, right? In certain situations, certain areas, certain conversations, right? Just fully embracing who Deontay is and whatever you believe in, God, the universe has just been rewarded me with more referrals coming from, my people or people seeing the stuff on my social medias because they could relate to me. So that's really, I believe, that's
So
been what.
listen. So let me ask you kind of a tougher question. Do you
Mhm.
believe that when you first got into real estate, you kind of had an identity crisis, or you couldn't really be you, or what is the lesson you learned along the way?
Not necessarily I couldn't be more of me. I just didn't know what was going to make me successful. So I was figuring it out. So as I started to look and see, okay, where my deals came from and why they came from it, I was like, damn, Deontay, the more I was myself or the more I poured into my people, right? The more deals, the more clientele I received. Let me dive deeper into this, right? As opposed to, going and doing methods that, yes, they work, but they're not natural. They're not inherent to, who I am.
So you being more authentically Deontay allowed
Mhm.
you to be, more in touch with your tribe, attract the right
Right.
clients, people that were going to be able to respond to you and stuff like that. That's such an incredible message. If you're kind of a newer agent, or maybe you've been in the business for a while, like there's a tribe out there waiting to hear from you. And if you're not giving them a message that comes from your heart, and you've got a big heart, right? So like, they got to hear that. I mean, tell
Right.
me, tell me, tell me something else that maybe this year you've been doing that another agent can kind of tell me about your workflow. Like, what do you do every day? Tell me your day.
Right, right, right. So, two things. What I did, I bit the bullet, Gil, and I'll tell you one of the things that has also helped me is money. Right, I invested in my business by hiring VAs. Right,
Mm.
to take off of certain things that I necessarily didn't want to do, but I had to do. So, making particular calls. Right, I now passed that to my VA, and it's literally skyrocketed my business. So biting the bullet, being real with myself, because one of the things that the reason I didn't do it earlier, Gil and everybody listening, is because that inner doubt is like, dang, I have to commit to this VA, right? This money is going to come out of this account, right? Every 2 weeks, am I going to be able to produce enough to maintain and pay that VA, right? So kind of that self doubt that most of us will have, and then just sucking it up. Shout out to David Goggins. I won't curse on here, but what he's all about. Suck it up, Deontay, and let's go. And it's really
Yeah.
been beneficial to me. And then also for, like you said, the newer agents, just showing more of yourself on platforms, social media, IG. I started doing a daily vlog, just doubling up on my content. So when the people see me everywhere and they're like, that's the guy, that's the one I want to do business with. I know there's all these other agents, but he matches up to who I am, and I think I would enjoy the process with him.
Man, your story is really inspiring because I kind of remember you as a newer agent, as a licensee. I know you were kind of in the business already, but kind of coming in and just putting your head down. It's like, hey, man, this is my ritual. I get up early in the morning, I work out, I do my inspirations, I get on my calls, and I just did it. Right. And
Yeah.
I remember one Saturday morning, I was just sitting here in this office I'm going through Facebook and I was like, is Diante making his calls live on Facebook?
Yeah.
And I'm like your mentality is fearless.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. And I think your customers probably appreciate that too, is that you go the extra mile and you're certainly not afraid to work. Right. So
Yep.
tell me about your work ethic. Tell everybody your kind of morning ritual up.
Right. It's almost kind of, I feel like, became infamous in the office almost. But my morning ritual, guys, is I wake up at 5 a.m. and my whole mentality is I like to fill up my cup first so I can fill up others. Right. So from 5 to about 8:30 to 9 a.m. is all Deontay time. So what I do is I fill my cup up with, when I wake up at 5 a.m., I pray, I visualize, I go to the gym, right? Those are within the first hour and a half. When I come back to the gym, eat a little bit. I read 10 pages a day of a book.
What are you reading right
Shower.
now?
Go ahead.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading, what's the name of it? The book that you tried to give me and I told you, no, I'm going to buy it myself. Building an Empire, I think it's called.
Oh yeah. Building an
Yep.
empire. Good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff. All right. So
So,
I interrupted you. So you pray, you go to work out, you start reading your 10 pages. Then
yep,
what?
yep. And that gets me going. It's soul, mind, and body. So once I get my soul, mind, and body right, I jump
Mm,
into the day,
mm.
right? So 9 a.m. is when I typically start my work day. Um, Between about 9 and 12, that's prospecting, right? And I actually put coaching in there now. I
Mm.
hired another coach, so prospecting and coaching, and then you know how real estate is from 12 to about 6 or 7. It's filled with either appointments with agents, buyers, listing appointments, social media creation, whatever that day needs.
Good stuff. So I love the fact that you start with you. You make sure your cup is full. This way you can be a blessing to those people that you're reaching out to. Then you're setting your appointments and doing all the real estate stuff. And then end of the day, clock out, right?
Yep,
Dude,
yep.
that's incredible. How do you find time to do some of those other amazing things? I want to talk about that book that's right behind you. How do you find time for that? And first off, like, where did the idea? You could. I'm going to let everybody know right now. It's like you don't have any kids, right?
Nope.
So, like, we all have like BS stories in our heads. Like, well, who's going to take me credible? I was like, you wrote an incredible story. So, what made someone like you who doesn't have any kids write a story for children?
Well,
And
I
show
wanted
everybody the
more.
book.
Go ahead.
Show everybody the book. Pull it out.
Oh
I
yeah,
see it
yeah,
behind
yeah,
you.
yeah. Boom.
Boom! Look at that.
10 the believers.
So tell me, what inspired you to write a kids book?
So it's kind of a loaded question. One, some of my inspirations out in, that I look up to are the Diddy's, the Jay-Z's, the Mark Cubans, the Jeff Bezos, different businesses, right? And I've spoke to you briefly about this, Gil, as well. I've always had in my vision board, or in the ultimate things Deontay will accomplish before he dies, is writing a book, a New York Times bestseller. And the books that really attract me are kind of the rags to riches types of books, which is nowhere near where I grew up, right? Two-parent household, stable, everything, right? Didn't have anything to really worry about as a child comparatively to these rags to riches stories. So I was like, how am I going to write a book? Right. And boom, people have always come up to me and say, Deontay, why are you like this? Why are you so disciplined or focused? And it was because of my upbringing, right? So I wanted to implant that and have something for the next generation to look at, and
Mm,
primarily young Black boys, right? Because I believe there's like an imagery issue in regards to what young Black boys see compared to what I saw growing up. So I was like, how am I going to create something actionable where young Black boys can still get that experience to literally how I grew up, anything was possible. And I know it kind of can sound corny, but that's how I grew up. So I was like, a book, boom. As you're growing up, those formative years, imagine just having a series of books, TV shows with someone that looks just like you, right? Having stories just like you, seeing the two-parent households just like you, it just becomes natural, and the lens that you see life in is just a whole different one. So that's where the inspiration for the book came. Is like, boom, I'm going to be able to impact generations to come with my life stories, because everything in the book is, pulled different things from my personal upbringing. So
Good stuff. So tell me, who is Tay Tay?
Tay Tay is me.
That's
Tay
awesome.
Tay is me. So
Oh,
I
man.
went to my illustrator and I gave him a picture of me when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I was like, make a cartoon version of me. And then he came up with that. So that is
That's
Tay Tay.
awesome. That is awesome. So
But
let me ask you a
also the
question.
backstory
Uh,
is I wanted to create a name that would annoy the parents so much that they would just buy it, right? So Tay Tay, Tay Tay, Tay Tay, Tay Tay. It's so easy for a little kid to say Tay Tay, from four to
yeah, yeah.
seven. It's just boom.
Brilliant, brilliant.
So,
So like I can totally see like you doing like a YouTube channel for that book,
yeah.
and my kids just stumbling through there and saying, "Have you seen Tay Tay, Tay Tay, Tay?" Oh yeah,
Yep.
totally, totally, and probably 10 times better than some of the stuff they're watching on YouTube right now. So let me ask you this question. So Tay Tay goes through an incredible journey in the
Mhm.
book, and he comes to some incredible realizations. Talk to
Right.
us about that.
Yeah, so the book is called Tay Tay and the Believers, and he's on a search to find who these believers are. Right, his parents are always talking about the believers, just belief. Right, so he has a number of dreams, which you guys are going to see in the book, whether it's being a pro wrestler, an astronaut, a Hollywood movie writer, in search of how he can become these and who are these believers who are going to allow him to achieve these dreams that he has, right? So towards the end of the book, you guys will see what he finds on his journey, right? But that's the heart of the story, right? The belief and where you get the belief from, how you can use belief, and literally the limitlessness of your belief, So
Do you think that that belief that Tay Tay finds in that book, and maybe you felt, gives you a competitive advantage?
it definitely does. It definitely does, and I don't think I've shared this yet. When I made this book, I'm sure you've experienced this in your business, your life, Gil. Certain things you aspire to do, people just can't comprehend, and their automatic reaction is that can't happen,
Hmm.
right? So even down to the development of this book, I had so many roadblocks, and it was no one that was being facetious. It was just that they couldn't comprehend it. So I had a number of publishers that said we can't print the book in the size that you want, the type of material that you want. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, just because I believe I have my vision is so strong that no matter what's gonna happen, I'm gonna make this happen.
Right.
And you guys see what happened now. Even from distribution, oh, we can't, print that many copies. I don't believe that. We're gonna figure it out, and we figured it
Right.
out. So it
So,
does.
so you talked about obstacles, and I feel
Mhm.
like obstacles will get in the way of someone who doesn't have belief strong enough to
Mhm.
overcome them,
Yep.
and they'll identify those obstacles. I'm curious though, if besides publishing and books and sites and stuff like that, what was the biggest hurdle for you to overcome in this journey with Tay Tay?
I never reflected it on it as being any type of hurdles, Gil. You know, um, if I had to look back and say there was a hurdle, it would probably be the distribution piece of it, because how I wanted to do it and how I ended up doing it, I wanted 2,000 copies right away. So a number of publishers or not publishers, distributors said it couldn't happen in the way I wanted it to happen. There was too many copies, or it couldn't ship in time. Blah 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 blah. So that could have, I foresee, took the legs up. out of somebody. But once again, just how my brain works, it doesn't harp on that. It's like, all right, I'm gonna figure it out.
Well,
And
I guess what I'm talking about is, for people who are listening to this right now, I imagine a lot of them may have thought of, developing some story or a project
Mhm.
or a product that maybe they haven't done. And if you can see, the title of this story is The Rise of the Real Estate Entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
The complexity of an entrepreneur, means that you're going to take some shots that may or may not work out, or and sometimes more won't work out than some will, right? So, I mean,
Exactly.
what made you go deeper on this one? Because you told me about a couple other projects before that you were kind of working on. How did this one grow legs so fast?
It's just needed. It's just needed
Mm.
in my community. The why of it is bigger than just Deontay. It's bigger than, I believe this is gonna transform generations, right? So it's just that I guess God just pushed it. Like, you need to create this. You know what I mean? That's why it superseded a number of those. It's like this needs to be put into place. It needs to be created right now. I don't even know how to explain it. It's just a pool, a pool. Like, make this happen, Deontay. You know. So I guess it's your why in regards to whatever you're developing, whatever business that you have. Um, that little voice in the back of your head will not let you sleep unless you bring it to fruition, and that's what this book was.
Come on, Deontay, you can sleep without. There's been other projects maybe that you haven't got out. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
understand you had the pull from you and stuff like that, but you run an incredible schedule. From, like, you go to bed early, wake up. I mean, you go to bed early, wake up early, right?
Yeah.
And it's nonstop, 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 nonstop. There was every freaking excuse why you don't have to do this,
No,
right?
I had to.
You
I had
had
to.
to.
Yeah, if you want to see a change, right? And me and my friends talk about it. I want more positive imagery for young black boys, right? No one's going to do that. I won't want to say no one's going to do that, but I'm going to take the actionable steps that I can control to make that happen, right? So that's why the book came to fruition. It's like, forget what the news says, forget what social media says. It's not enough. Okay, here's enough, right? We're going to do one book, two books, three books, four books, movies,
Yeah.
TV shows. So that's where it's going, right? So I had to do it. I had to do it.
Well,
That's
I'm glad
all
you
that
did.
happened.
I'm glad you did. I'm going to tell you, Deontay, something I've never said before out loud, especially not in this type of media. Um, but I'm really glad you did, because, and I know you meant your intention is for this book to be picked up by a young black boy who will read this book and realize there's more, right? And we talk about this
Mhm.
all the time. Sometimes people don't become more because they don't even know the opportunity exists.
Exactly.
So by you kind of illustrating this in this book and kind of sharing that with them, they can kind of relate to young Tay and realize that the world is open for opportunities. I remember growing up, and I grew up in the South Bronx. My parents moved us towards Jamaica, Queens, and the reality was, like, I didn't have any, like, real heroes that identified in my own culture. To be very frank with you,
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody who was Puerto Rican that won. Period.
Yeah.
Zilch. None. In fact, all my heroes, to be very frank with you, are black. Like, I really attached myself, and I don't know why that was, but, like, there was no history books of, like, Puerto Rican men or women who had come out, or at least not released in schools, that had
Yep.
you know marched or had like done these amazing
Yep.
things. And I was like, oh, those are my heroes, right? As I got older, I realized that I need to be the hero, right? And
Yep.
I think that that's what you're doing in this story, is that you're not going to leave that story to be untold, right?
Right.
You can be the hero, and by someone seeing that in you, they can see that in themselves. I think it's a very powerful
Yep.
um, journey you can bring some. I hope that you take it, and you read this book inside of libraries in front of kids, and you have that experience of being able to watch people make a transformation, because I think that's a beautiful thing. Just out of curiosity, what do you want parents to know when they're buying this book and they're going to read this to their children? What do you want them to know? Because I know what you want the kids to know, but what do you want the parents to know?
That's a great question, Gil. That's a great question. Um, there's a saying that I like to use is deeper than rap, right? um, I want parents when they get this book, right? Is it's more than you, it's more than what you've been taught, it's more than the lens that you as a
Mm.
child were exposed to, right? When ideally when a parent gets this book, right, whether you're black, white, Asian, or what have you, I want them to see that, wow, not only did this gentleman being Deontay created this story for my child, but I still, even as a parent, can resonate and be an example and create the things that I table to the side because I didn't believe in myself, right? So ideally, it would be something that would not only impact the child, but actually the parent to I'm a guy from Orlando, right? 30 years old, real estate agent that created this, right? Why can't you, as an adult as well, create what you were supposed to, right? So I just pray that the parents not only take this and see the impact that it's going to have on their kids, but internalize it for them because I believe God put us all on this planet for a reason, right? And some of us shy away from that. So hopefully that sparks these parents, these adults to pick back up that torch and bring to fruition what they need to. Because similar to what you said, Gil, you know, maybe this book would inspire another Puerto Rican father, you know, to create something that other Puerto Ricans can look at, right?
Mhm.
Another Asian dad, right, who put something down, right, to pick it up and speak to his culture, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what transforms the world, right? That's what imagery is so powerful. And the more that we see us in a positive light, right, the better the world ends up being, right? As opposed to being caught in what the media does such a good job of leading us in the negative
Yeah.
uh, pathways.
Yeah. One of the things that when you're around somebody for a while, you start picking up their kind of mannerisms, or maybe you pick up some phrases
Yeah.
that they have. One of the ones I love, love, love is when you go on a Facebook Live or something like that, and you always say this one thing. Uh, Go ahead and say it for me, just
I
for
didn't
me.
even realize I said it as much until you said it, but that's so funny.
It's
But how
always
I
like,
start off my live is what? Yep, I did it too. You didn't. I don't even know if you noticed, but I always start off, "What's going on, beautiful people?" Right? I don't
"Let's
know
go,
where
beautiful people."
yeah.
I love that. I love that you're such an inspiration. Your smile is so infectious. And then I hope that your book goes out there in the millions and millions of people that really need to be inspired in a day like this. Not just children, parents, adults, like fellow agents. I hope that if you're an agent right now and you realize that, and everyone's got a story in them or a tay in them that needs to come out, right? And
Yep.
I think that as a real estate entrepreneur, and what I'm most proud of is I feel like EXP Realty kind of gives us an opportunity to kind of have some freedom to do different things, right? It allows us to, if investing's your thing, or if coaching's your thing, or if you're a leader, or if whatever you want to do, there's so many things. I really feel like real estate in itself, it's so amazing.
It's a
Um,
perfect vehicle, and to kind of chime in on it, Gil, real estate is the reason why I'm able to do this, right? Because this isn't the cheapest thing to do, and I'm sure you've done research on just publishing books, right? Especially hardcover books, illustrators, and things like that. But my real estate business has allowed me to do this, right?
mhm.
Debt free. You know, without real estate, I would not be able to produce this book. So that the power of what you agents are doing, right? And especially as you produce and build your teams and EXP, it really opens the door to other businesses that you guys are going to create.
Good stuff. Deontay, what do you do for fun?
I do salsa. I fell in,
Salsa.
yeah, I fell in love with salsa about 2 years ago. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I go to my salsa classes. I enjoy working out and I love taking naps. So those are the main three ones.
Well, I've already got a text message from somebody who wants me to ask you this question. How does someone get the book?
Perfect. So you will go to tateysworld.com, TAETAES world.com. As soon as you go on the homepage, you will see order now. From today until Friday, there's a special pre-order sale for you guys to take advantage of.
What is that again? Tay what?
TayTaysWorld.com.
And that's TAETAES World.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me look at this coolness right here. Tell me if this is cool. Did it work? Oh, come on now. There we go. There we go. Dude, I'm so impressed with myself right now.
You gotta pat yourself on the back sometimes, Gil.
It's the little things that make me happy. It doesn't take very much. Hey man, let's just tag on a little bit of real estate more. So you do your real estate with leads, with referrals, you do a great job of spotlighting vendors and things of that nature, people you work with, you introduce people to business and stuff like that. I was like, if somebody was starting real estate right now, and they were coming into the market, what would be the one thing you tell them they've got to do this if they want to do business?
You have to be on social media. You have to. No excuses. I don't care if you're scared of the camera. I don't care what your mom said, your dad said, your family said. You have to be on social media in a real way.
And why do you think that's so important?
Well, people, especially with the different industries or businesses your Zillows are coming into play, your Open Doors, your all these other industries. Why should they choose you, right? What being on social media does, similar to what I shared before, it ties a person to you, right? You are unique in the person that you are, and people like you, right? So the more that you're on social media, they can tie yourself. You know what? I like Gil. I don't care what any other of this. Yeah, that business is great, but I like Gil. I'm going to, work with him, right? I like Diante. I like his personality. I like what he does. Social media allows people to kind of see your personality. It also allows you to share your work ethic, share your connections, right? So we're in a digital age. People are looking up Yelp. They're looking up Google reviews. If you're not there, you're going to get lost, right? Especially in where we're at in our market, Gil. What is it? 1,000 people moved to Orange County alone, right? A week. So if you're
crazy,
not,
right?
It's crazy. If you're not on social media, how are you going to be found?
You do some coaching in the office too, right? You're kind of a real estate coach. You started doing some trainings at Inspiration Hall over at 401 South Rosalind Avenue. You've kind of helped on some agents. You've brought some agents in and kind of helped them. Talk to me about you as a real estate coach.
I'm still working on that, Gil.
I know. I'm throwing that out there because I think that you got it in you. But I've seen you. Here's the funny thing. You may not be willing to call yourself that yet, and that's okay. But you've already been doing it for a little while, right? And there's people who are in the office who are looking at you and saying, it's like, that's my guy. I learned this from Diante. I've had people quote you in the office. Like people are like, oh, Diante said to do this and it worked and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, whether you know it, you're already starting to be a real estate coach. Tell me about the classes you teach in Inspiration Hall.
Yeah. So Saturday, we actually had a class called the 12-week year. So just different things that I use in my business that I apply and just sharing with everybody else. So, we measure our weeks out in at least I do in quarters. I read a book called Traction, and it transformed my business last year, just measuring what matters, planning ahead of time. So that was one of the classes that I have. Boot camp, which we have this week, actually. I teach connect, cultivate, and close as kind of our theme for our boot camp. And I teach the second day, the cultivating portion to the agents, right? How to cultivate your clients. I have clients that, I've cultivated that relationship for 2.5 years before we close. So those are some of the principles I teach. Just the different things I use to be successful in this business is what, the classes that I like to teach and that I teach in the office.
That's super awesome. And you're an incredible human being. If you wanted to reach out to Diante Lawrence, you could look him up on social media. What's your Instagram? Just out of curiosity.
My Instagram is it's DNU at, no, it's not at, but that's my Gmail. You can Gmail me, but it's DNU, right? But just look up Diante.
Yep. Just look. Okay. Hey man, incredible human being. Again, if you haven't had a chance to take advantage, go to Tay Tay's World. buy that book and share it with somebody. Even if you don't have kids, there's somebody out there you can give that the blessing to. Check out, Diante's classes that he teaches at 401 South Roslyn. You can go to alliancecalendar.com, see the classes he teaches. Jump in. You don't need permission. You can come in, talk to him. I mean, and learn more about some real estate. And he's always willing to teach. So I really appreciate you being a leader. I really appreciate you being a great human being and a great ambassador for eXp Realty.
I appreciate it, man.
Be
And
great, man.
before we wrap this up, Gil,
Go
let
ahead.
me give you your roses as well. You guys have to appreciate, right, the people in your life, right, and the culture that is developed in our office, 401 South Roslyn, starts at Gil, right? So appreciate you creating an environment to grow leaders, right? There's a saying called iron sharpens iron. And that's what we do over here. Gil is not just and that's the main reason I joined this brokerage. I share this every single time, and I don't think you know this, Gil. The reason I initially joined EXP, right, was before even Exit. But when I came in to sit down with Gil, he was a broker at Exit at the time, right? I was like, I'm going to roll with this guy because it's not just about being the best agent in Florida, the rise of the real estate entrepreneur, right? Gil has different businesses, right? Bobby has different businesses, right? Those are the people I want to roll with, right? So appreciate you, Gil, for continuing to lead, continuing to be that iron that we all, sharpen up against, right? Because it's priceless, it's an invaluable, and you can kind of see with the growth in our office. So
It's
thank you.
about being the best you, and you're obviously accomplishing that. So I appreciate you and proud of you. Be well, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the chapters with Tay Tay.
Yeah.
All right, man. Take care. Be well.
Peace, people.